Welcome back, and today we are flying out the IA-58 Pucara, which actually surprised me with how good it is. This might actually be one of the better tier 4 premiums that you will find in the German tech tree, and one of the more fun premiums that you will find all around. It's a very unique plane. It's not the fastest. It rips just under 670 kilometers an hour. The wings just blow straight off, but you can choose to take off from the runway and equip the funny rocket boosters that just turn this plane into an auto win, at least in that engagement, for about 30 seconds. The issue is with taking off from the runway that you only have 2.5 minutes of WEP, which gives you an extra 100 horsepower per engine, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you only have 900 to begin with, this is a pretty big hit. Together with the fact that you start from the runway and you have to keep the boosters on your plane, basically means you are going to be climbing at 19 meters a second, because you can't really use your WEP, because with the WEP it's actually 26 meters a second, which is very respectable. Now, it is already bug reported. It should have about 5 minutes, making this a lot more of a feasible strat, but right now, especially on smaller maps, especially when you get medium to down tier, you want to take off from the airspawn. You don't want to keep the Rato boosters. They're very funny. You can pop them and just win every engagement like we are right here, but it's not as effective as using the airspawn, climbing straight in. I use the WEP to about 3000 meters, then I cut it off, because very often I don't end up using it at all. So I rather just have a little bit of altitude early on, so I can control the entire engagement and farm the entire lobby. And just to show you that I'm not cherry picking this footage, basically every kill is in here. I got 59 kills in 13 matches, and I managed to die a single time. So overall, the plane is good. It's not necessarily the best performing plane, but in the average RRB lobby, this thing will be able to farm basically everyone, because it has such good maneuverability. It has decent climb, at least with the WEP. It isn't very fast. It's fast enough, but overall the plane is kind of mediocre with good turn because of the flaps. Make sure to not rip these flaps off, because if you do, this thing turns into a regular attacker, and you really will just struggle with keeping this thing in the air. But I'll show you a little bit of that in a minute. So we climb straight in, this time from the runway, and first off, the F8F just gets absolutely pieced apart. Right now I have the rocket boosters equipped, and I am looking for an engagement to pop them in. We have about 30 seconds of instant win button, and when you do have an energy advantage over someone with this thing, or perhaps infinite energy because of the rockets, you will simply outturn everything. Well, basically everything. Spitfires and Zeros are still a little bit of an issue, but you get what I'm saying. Pop the rocket boosters, we go straight up. I have to change my loop a little bit because of the F6F. The 109 manages to hit a single 8mm, doesn't really do any damage, and at this point they are both stalled out. I'm picking up speed because of the rockets, and I just get an incredibly free kill just because of that, and actually it is 2 of them. The guns are a little bit hit or miss. We have a lot of ammo and the fire rate isn't too high, so you can basically just shoot forever. The issue is that half the rounds in your belt are going to be AP, and they don't always do as much damage as you want to, and sometimes something like this will just happen. You need to be aware of that. You need to hold the trigger down, and you'll see that my trigger discipline isn't particularly fantastic when I'm playing this thing, as I get glazed in the chat and made fun of because of the turbo props. This thing is incredibly loud, and that's why you might not hear the background sound as much as you are maybe used to, because these engines are completely deafening, and it's even worse when someone is flying next to you. Now you can see that I have about 110% WEP. Yes, it still has WEP, but it's no longer distilled water injection. Now it's like an extra 9 to 10 horsepower. It's not a lot, but it's something. You might as well use it, because the engines don't really overheat anyway. As the Wyvern really tries to go back to the runway, and I hold my trigger down until he flies into the round. Closing in pretty rapidly. I'm gonna have to turn around and engage him. I want a little bit of speed here to actually engage him. We pull out of the way, and then we try to pitch into his flight path and go up a little bit. This way I lose a little bit of speed. I can sit at my preferred airspeeds and actually use the landing flaps. Then actually fold them back in for a little bit of extra energy. And at this point, I should be able to drop the landing flaps one more time. And then float right into his flight path. I think that's his engine gone. Sounds like it. So I'm gonna have to make sure that this guy actually gets sent back to the Shadow Realm. And then we head on the A6M. I'm just going to take it. I'm gonna have to. If I don't, I die. Because I'm going way too slow to shake him off. And if he merges with me and gets past my nose, then I am entirely cooked. Let's see if I can get some long range shots in here. He's actually dodging. That's a hit. Very clearly wants to get a free kill. Now he's shooting from a very far range. So we're just gonna go up over his nose, drop the flaps, and just like that, this guy is completely toast. Because, well, as I said, the plane turns surprisingly okay up to us. So I'm actually gonna go a little bit sideways, so he has to climb further up to me. He's gonna have less speed when he finally arrives, and then when he does arrive, I will simply just pitch straight up. It is a Mark 9, but that isn't too much of an issue because he is already stalling out. So we go flat here for a second, wait for that nose to drop, we drop the landing flaps, and we pull straight down on him. Now we don't need to keep weaping here, as he is way too slow, and then we just click on him and get a 9-kill game. We are just climbing straight in. I am streaming on Discord, that's why the live commentary has disappeared now. T18 comes head on, I'm just gonna spray at him. I need him out of the game because I don't want him to turn around and annoy me while I deal with the rest of the lobby. We got fully up-tiered in this game, and we instantly noticed that this is an incredibly bad merge. I decided to take the air spawn because I thought, well, Malta is a pretty small map, but I forgot about the fact that everyone gets an air spawn now. So even though I might be kind of far ahead, I'm not actually that much higher than my enemies. And that is an issue because I am far ahead and I don't have any teammates around at all. So I decide to go head on anyway. I am trying to be aggressive and I'm trying to get as many people down to the deck as I possibly can. As I trade in the head on, I hit his engine, he hits my tail. That's a pretty good trade. So I am going to turn away from the entire enemy pack. And I'm trying to get behind him, but he's merging in a way that I can't. And now I am forced to dive to the deck. And at this point I thought my game was over. And it basically was. I mean, if these guys all stick on me, I am dead. But I'm at least going to drag everyone to the deck, into my team, and have an effect that way, even though I don't actually have any kills to show for it. Well, the T18, but you know what I'm saying. I need to make something happen, whether that is dragging everyone to the deck into my team so that my team can lick them up, or I can choose to just simply kill everyone and win that way. Now in this game, we're gonna choose to do both. As I start engaging the FR1. I know that there's a lot of people above, but everyone is kind of merging on the guy that is directly below me. There is 4 of them. I keep my eye on the P47 and I just think to myself, I need to get these people away from here. At the very least, so I don't get spotted on the deck anymore. Now we see a P47N, not really that dangerous. The Spitfire on the other hand is all the way in the back, as well as annoying to fight in this thing. So I decide to go for him first. I can then mop up the P47N, and I then decide to go for the F8F as I rip my flaps off. And you can tell that my turn instantly just kind of implodes on itself, and I'm not quite able to keep turning at all. Now the F8F is damaged. Unfortunately, my teammate turns into the one direction that doesn't allow me to clean up the F8F. And I thought at this point, okay, now it really is going to be bad news, because the BF9 is here, and I need to finish off the F8F. As I run out of web. And you can tell that now without the flaps he is completely outrating me, so I decide to simply disengage and fly away. And luckily for us, he didn't actually end up chasing me, which allowed me to go for a landing. Now he did end up ramming the LA7 in the head-on, but at this point we are completely alone, and I think it's against 5 other people. So we have the Welkin over here. And this is the first time I really fought one. I have fought one more, but he made a very bad engagement. And I haven't touched it myself yet. But I know that the roll rate is bad, that the climb rate is pretty good, and that the turn rate is okay, but the plane is incredibly slow. But I thought that this engagement was going to kill him almost immediately. The truth is though, he turns too well for me to do this. And I'm going very slow now. And here comes the P-47N. Now luckily I get kind of lucky with the clouds. I hope he has the same clouds as me. I turn in front of the Welkin, and because of these rocket boosters, I'm just able to go up over his nose, roll to his wingtip, and go straight vertical. Now the C-205 is still hanging around at distance. I kind of lose the P-47 for a second, but there he is. He flies directly in front of me. I luckily just disassemble his plane. There goes my rocket booster, and now I need to dogfight the Welkin while the C-205 is starting to come in. And that's why I am not actually going vertical. I am trying to go downward here, go into this maneuver so that the C-205 starts to compress and is more likely to peel off and get a harder shot. I dodge underneath him while turning with the Welkin, and you can tell that slowly but surely I am gaining quite hard on this guy. So we turn the web back on as he goes vertical, and I need to kill him right here. The Welkin is kind of annoying for me to aim at because the size is all disproportionate. You'll see the game where I kill the one first, or for the first time after this. But for now we're going to focus on the C-205. Now I'm only going about 410. It's not very quick. The C-205 doesn't turn particularly well, but he has pretty good energy. So I go up under him, I try to make him overshoot, and he breaks off a little bit early, and I thought to myself, okay, you're dead. Unfortunately, he starts dodging, and I almost get too greedy, but I decide to peel off. Now the next G of this thing in a stall is kind of bad. Try to not go and actually stall yourself out. If you are nose up at like 70 kilometers an hour, it sometimes takes quite a while for it to recover, and it can get you killed. So kind of an example right there. I stuck a little bit too long, and if he had gone straight up and the second he saw that I was stalling went down, I probably would have died there. Now here comes again. We are yet again going about 420, and we merge with the Discord notification. So we go up over his nose. He almost crashes, but I am now able to pull directly into his flight path and probably make him panic, because he goes and reverses his turn, and because of that I'm able to line the guns up and send him straight back to the hangar. Decal no longer available. So we go for the landing yet again. This is the second landing in this game to get some new Rato boosters, because the last two guys are a C-file and a J21. And I said, if that dot is a C-file, I am popping the rocket boosters, because I'm very confident that I can deal with the J21. So I'm actually gonna not go too steep. I'm trying to build up a little bit of speed. I'm going sideways here so that I can actually build up energy and use the entirety of my boosters and let him climb up to me for a little bit longer so that he actually loses some airspeed. Now he might get some alt out of it, but I'm going to get way more. So here the rockets are about to burn up, and the second they do, I'm gonna just glide it out a little bit, get that little bit of extra altitude, and then we drop the flaps and we go horizontal. The C-fire isn't really a threat. Now he does get his guns on me, but he is completely stalled out. He is simply spraying, and you can tell that he doesn't really have control over his plane anymore. And I mean, at this point, I just pitch down, drop the flaps, and nuke him straight into a casket. And then the last guy here for kill number 9, it's a J21. I'm going 400, almost 500 speed. I'm above him, and it's a J21. That plane is not scary, other than the 13mm. Now I do want to be careful that he doesn't just prop hang me and spray me, because one of those 13mm can just blow my plane apart. Luckily, he tries to go for the reversal, I think. Or maybe he tries to go head on. It doesn't really matter. The J21 doesn't have any hands whatsoever, as we put this guy straight onto a t-shirt. And there is kill number 9. Now we did have to land twice, but late game the Rato boosters are incredibly clutch, because now it doesn't really matter what you run into anymore, because you are probably going to beat them pretty easily. Here comes the first Welkin that I ever saw, and there was 1 or 2 games before that, and the proportions just really threw me off. And now I know that his roll rate is bad, so I roll out of the way once. He can't follow, and that plane isn't particularly fast, which means that he's going to have to take this fight. I'm just going to be spraying at him with my infinite ammo, but the issue is that that plane is so disproportionate. I have no idea where I'm leading. I'm leading way too much, and after a little bit I realize, and then I adjust my aim. He goes down, and that is kill number 1. This time around we don't have any rocket boosters. We used the air spawn and we climbed straight in. And we just kind of look for people that are below us so I can farm them for free. Spitfire kind of lowish, not really worried. P51 coming straight at us. P63 is kind of low, F6F is kind of far and low. I don't really need to worry about these guys immediately. So I know, after a quick look around, that I can just dogfight this P51 completely for free. Now it is a P51C, I turn on the web, I roll under his guns, and we go straight vertical. And you'll see that I outturned this dude in basically half a loop. I'm already inside of his turning circle, and there is just nothing he is going to be doing as I send him straight to the t-shirt factory. Now we turn right, I see 3 guys over there, and I notice the BF-109, but there also is a dude on my right, a P63 and a P51 whatever, but again they are kind of low and slow and decently far away, so I know that I can engage this 3-piece before I go to them. Now if it was only one guy that was chasing the 109, I probably would have gone for the 2 guys on my right, because that way I am more likely to get more kills, because that's what I am playing for. Spitfire turns the wrong way, he's going relatively slow, so we just kind of click on him and shit in his mouth, and then I actually fly towards these 2 guys as I notice that those guys are all in a dogfight and I just want to get the 2-piece of 2 people pitching up for me. So we go up over their noses, we drop the combat flaps, and we immediately just... I mean, this plane is incredibly free. Now if these guys play it properly, they maintain their speed, they maintain their position, and they wait for me to use my web or perhaps my rocket boosters if I have them, you can deal with it. But this is a mechanic or dynamic that you don't really run into until you reach higher tiers where we have Me-163s, Ki-200s, planes like the C-2B. At this battle rating, people don't know how to manage their resources. Speed, fuel and energy are resources, and people don't know how to use them this low of a BR, and this gives you a massive leg up, at least for the time being. In due time people will know what this plane can do and what it's like, but for the time being I do think that this thing is pretty... it's a riot. I really had fun in this thing, that's why I kept playing it, that's why I have so much footage and I had to cut it so short. I'm a big fan of this thing. Now is it the best plane? No, especially not if people start to figure out your weaknesses, but even then the plane is pretty damn annoying to deal with just because the turning circle is pretty small, it has pretty consistent guns with a good amount of ammo, and it gets an air spawn. So early game, this thing is pretty good. You will deal with FAFs and stuff on co-elt, which you just have to head on, because otherwise you will probably die. You need to clean up the 1 or 2 guys that are on co-altitude, and then you just want to work top to bottom. The second people start getting above you, this plane is not... it's pretty bleak. It's not fantastic. You will get energy trapped relatively easily. The C-205, for example, from that 9-kill game, just didn't really know what he was doing. Use the flaps yet again, turn into the BF-109 after killing the FAF. Absolutely pieces plane apart. And then after getting the 2nd kill, we start to merge with the F4U. Now this is likely an FOU4, and it is. So we merge with him, we roll out of the way, he's going a little bit fast, try to stay on his wingtip. And the second we merge and he doesn't try to run away, I'm dropping the flaps and we are shooting your wing clean off. Now it's only a critical and it's an F4U, so I'm gonna make sure that he actually gets his balls imploded. And on the way towards the middle of the game, we run into a B-18 that, I mean, he doesn't even have his engines on. I'm not entirely sure what he is doing, but I'm going to say thank you for kill number 4, I believe. Then we dive towards the middle of the map. Make sure to not blow these wings off, because again at about 650 they start to kind of jitter and then they just simply fall off out of nowhere. Also keep in mind that at super high speed this thing starts to kind of bob and weave and shake. It's kind of annoying to aim that way, so try to not stay at super high speeds. The plane just doesn't like it. And because it's not that fast to begin with, I recommend to just always keep it at about 300. Cache as much altitude as you can. And then if you get into engagement, you can always dive to pick up some speed that way, because the acceleration just isn't all that fantastic. But that's all I have for you today. Here are the rewards yet again. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.